I'm 92 years old, and if I had just 2 years left to live, do you know what I would spend them doing? Destroying every piece of retirement advice you've ever heard, because almost all of it is wrong. Not slightly wrong, catastrophically wrong, and I know this because I followed that advice perfectly, did everything right according to the experts, and I'm sitting here at 92 realizing I wasted the last 27 years of my life. 27 years. More than a quarter century. Gone. And nobody warned me. Not the financial advisors, not the retirement planners, not the books or seminars or well-meaning friends. They all told me the same lie, and I believed it. The lie is this: if you save enough money, retirement will take care of itself. It won't. Money solves the financial problem of retirement, but retirement isn't a financial problem. It's a mental one, an emotional one, an existential one, and nobody prepares you for that. I retired at 65. I had done everything the experts told me to do. Maxed out my 401k for 30 years, lived below my means, invested wisely, built a portfolio that would generate enough income to live comfortably without touching the principal. I had more money in retirement than I needed. I was, by every conventional measure, a retirement success story. And for the first 6 months, it felt amazing. No alarm clocks, no deadlines, no meetings. I could do whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted. Freedom. Except freedom to do what? That's the question nobody asks you. What are you retiring to? Everyone focuses on what you're retiring from. The stress, the commute, the boss, the pressure. But when all that's gone, what's left? I thought I knew. I had hobbies. I liked to read. I enjoyed golf. I had friends. I thought retirement would be like a permanent vacation. And for 6 months it was. Then reality set in. Here's what nobody tells you about retirement. Your entire adult life, your identity, is wrapped up in what you do. When someone asks who you are, you tell them your job. I'm an engineer. I'm a teacher. I'm a manager. Your work gives you purpose, structure, challenges to solve, people to interact with, reasons to get up in the morning, and then one day, all of that disappears. You're not an engineer anymore. You're not a teacher. You're not anything. You're just old, retired, invisible. I didn't realize how much of my identity was tied to my work until it was gone. And when it disappeared, I didn't know who I was anymore. I was just a guy with money and nothing meaningful to do with his time. The first year of retirement, I played a lot of golf, read a lot of books, traveled with my wife. It was nice. But by the second year, the novelty had worn off. Golf became boring. Books couldn't hold my attention the way they used to. Travel felt exhausting instead of exciting, and I started to notice something disturbing. I was losing my sharpness. My mind wasn't as quick. Conversations felt harder. I'd forget names, forget why I walked into a room, forget stories I'd told just days before. At first, I thought it was just normal aging, but it wasn't. It was mental atrophy. When you work, your brain is constantly engaged. You're solving problems, making decisions, learning new things, adapting to challenges. Your mind stays sharp because it has to. But in retirement, especially if you're not careful, your brain has nothing to do. You fall into routines. Same breakfast, same walk, same TV shows, same conversations, and your mind starts to deteriorate. Not because you're old, because you're not using it. I have a friend named Robert. We worked together for 23 years. Sharp guy, brilliant mind, could solve problems faster than anyone I knew. He retired 2 years before I did, and I watched him decline in real time. Within 5 years of retirement, he barely resembled the person I knew. Slower, quieter, less engaged. He'd repeat himself in conversations, lose track of the point he was making, and the worst part? He had no idea it was happening. His family saw it, I saw it, but he didn't. Because when you're in it, when you're the one declining, you can't see the pattern. You just think you're tired or having an off day. You don't realize you're having an off year, an off decade. By the time Robert was 78, he had moderate dementia, not from genetics, not from disease, from disengagement, from letting his mind go dormant. I didn't want that to happen to me. So I tried to stay active. I volunteered, took classes, joined clubs. But here's the problem. None of it felt meaningful. Volunteering was nice, but I wasn't essential. The organization would be fine without me. Classes were interesting, but I wasn't building anything with the knowledge. Clubs were social, but the conversations felt shallow. Nothing had stakes, nothing had consequences. Nothing mattered the way work mattered, and that's when I realized the second lie about retirement. The lie is that leisure is the goal, that working is bad and not working is good, that the ideal life is one where you don't have to do anything. But human beings aren't designed for endless leisure. We're designed for purpose, for contribution, for challenges that stretch us, for work that matters. And when you take that away, you don't feel free. You feel empty. My wife and I had a good marriage, 42 years when I retired. But retirement tested us in ways I never anticipated. When you work, you spend your days apart. You have different spheres, different responsibilities, different social circles. Then you come home and you have things to talk about. But in retirement, we were together all the time. Same house, same routines, same conversations. We started getting on each other's nerves. Not because we didn't love each other, because we didn't have enough separate life to bring to the relationship. We were together too much without enough individual purpose to balance it. I see this all the time with retired couples. They either drift into parallel lives where they barely interact, or they become codependent in unhealthy ways. The relationship becomes stale because there's no new input, no growth, no challenge. The loneliness of retirement is something nobody warns you about. When you work, you're surrounded by people every day. You have colleagues, clients, team members. You have built-in social connection. But when you retire, all of that disappears. You have to actively build and maintain friendships, and that's harder than it sounds. Your old work friends are still working. They're busy. They can't meet for lunch on a Tuesday afternoon. Your old social circle starts shrinking because people move away, get sick, or die. And making new friends in your 60s and 70s? It's not easy. You don't have the same energy, the same openness, the same opportunities. I found myself going days without having a meaningful conversation with anyone outside my immediate family. And that isolation, that lack of connection, it weighs on you. It makes you feel invisible, irrelevant, like the world has moved on without you. Here's the thing that haunts me most. I spent 30 years preparing financially for retirement. 30 years. I saved aggressively. I invested wisely. I ran projections and scenarios. I made sure I'd have enough money to last. And I did. Financially, I'm fine. But I spent zero time preparing mentally or emotionally. I didn't think about what would give my life meaning. I didn't think about how I'd stay engaged. I didn't think about who I'd be without my career. I didn't think about the transition from being productive to being what? a consumer of time, and that failure to prepare mentally has cost me far more than any financial failure ever could. Because I have the money, but I don't have the life I thought I'd have. I have security, but I don't have purpose. I have freedom, but I don't know what to do with it. I watch my grandchildren now, and they're making the same mistakes. They're in their 30s and 40s, working hard, saving money, planning for retirement. And when I try to talk to them about what retirement really means, they smile and nod and don't really listen. They think I'm just an old man rambling. They think their retirement will be different. They think they'll figure it out when they get there. But they won't, because you can't figure it out when you're already there. You have to prepare years in advance. You have to build the infrastructure of meaning while you still have your career, while you still have your health, while you still have your mental sharpness. I joined a men's group 2 years ago. 8 guys, all in our late 80s and early 90s. We meet every Thursday morning for coffee, and the conversations we have are the most honest I've experienced in decades. Because at this age, there's no point in pretending. We all know we're running out of time, and the common thread in every conversation is regret. Not about money, not about careers or achievements, about time wasted, about relationships neglected, about opportunities missed, about living in retirement the way we were supposed to instead of the way we should have. Every single one of us wishes we'd prepared better mentally, that we'd thought more deeply about what would give our lives meaning after work ended, that we'd built stronger connections outside of work while we still could, that we'd developed our identities beyond our careers, but we didn't. And now it's too late to get those years back. The retirement industry doesn't want you to hear this. They want you focused on portfolio allocation and withdrawal rates and tax optimization, because that's what they can sell you. That's what they can charge fees for. They can't sell you meaning. They can't sell you purpose. They can't sell you mental preparation. So they don't talk about it. They pretend retirement is a financial equation to solve. And millions of people believe them. Millions of people retire with plenty of money and no idea what to do with their lives. And they suffer quietly. They don't talk about it because they're embarrassed, because they did everything right financially and still feel empty, because admitting that retirement isn't what they hoped feels like failure, but it's not failure, it's predictable. It's what happens when you prepare for the wrong problem. If I could go back to my 65-year-old self, here's what I would say. Don't retire to nothing. Retire to something. Before you leave your career, figure out what will give your life meaning, what will challenge you, what will keep your mind sharp, what will connect you to other people, what will make you feel like you matter. And don't say relaxation or leisure or travel. Those are fine in doses, but they're not a purpose. They're not a reason to get up in the morning. Find work that matters even if it's not paid. Find a cause you believe in. Find a project that excites you. Find a way to contribute. Because without that, you're not retiring. You're just waiting to die. And that's a terrible way to spend your last decades. I'm 92 years old. I probably have 2 years left, maybe 3 if I'm lucky. And I'm angry. I'm angry that I wasted 27 years believing the lie that money was enough. I'm angry that nobody told me the truth about what retirement really is. I'm angry that I can't go back and do it differently. If I had those 2 years, if I could start over, I would destroy the retirement industry's obsession with money and replace it with conversations about meaning, about identity, about mental engagement, about social connection, about purpose, because those are the things that actually matter. Those are the things that determine whether your retirement is fulfilling or empty, whether you stay sharp or decline, whether you thrive or just survive. Don't make the mistake I made. Don't spend 30 years preparing financially and 0 years preparing mentally. Don't assume that money will solve retirement. It won't. Retirement is a mental and emotional challenge that requires just as much preparation as the financial side. Maybe more. Because you can always adjust your spending if you run out of money. But if you run out of purpose, if you lose your sense of self, if your mind starts to go, there's no coming back from that. Start preparing now, not just your portfolio, your identity, your relationships, your sense of meaning. Figure out what you'll retire to, not just what you're retiring from. Because if you don't, you'll end up like me, financially secure, mentally adrift, and out of time to fix it. This is the conversation nobody wants to have, but it's the most important one. Share this if it resonates. Leave a comment if you've experienced this. Subscribe, because I have more truths to tell in whatever time I have left. The clock is ticking for all of us. Don't waste your retirement the way I wasted mine.